this issue of Palestinian flags are not only here. It's already in Europe since at least half a year of big demonstrations with the slogans "Free Palestine," "From the river to the sea," "Palestine will be free," and of course the Palestinian flag all over the place. However, yes, it is something which makes us very worried about what happens in Europe and now here. However, and here comes the big however, many in Europe are totally angry about what happened in Europe. The migration, the Islamic migration, which changed dramatically the human landscape of Europe, especially in Britain, France, Spain, Germany, Sweden. And when the human landscape changes, it comes also with cultural changes. Things which were self-proven in Europe a generation ago, today are questionable. Is Europe really European? Is the future of Europe is clear, European? People have many questions, and the answer is not always yes. And the demonstrations for Palestine were only a fig leaf to cover the real thing, which is the Islamization of Europe. Free Palestine is something which even Europeans could accept, especially those who don't like Jews. And there are many of those. If you remember, like 2 or 3 months ago, there was a giant demonstration in London against the migration, against Islamization. What flags did they hold in their hands? The British flag and flags of Israel. The flags of Israel were too obvious in this demonstration because the Bidens understood that the Palestinian flag in Free Palestine or River to the Sea is actually no more than a fig leaf to cover the real intention of those who were demonstrating for Palestine, which is to Islamize Europe. And not Israel is only the tip of the iceberg, which you see above the water. The big part is Europe. They talk about Israel because Israel is some kind of consensus in Europe, because many Europeans don't like Israel. But the issue is not Israel, the issue is Europe. And those Bidens who came out with the Israeli flags understood it. And this is exactly what happens here. But they are raising the Palestinian flag. They actually raising the flag of Islamization. And this is the real intention of those Muslims who came here in order to spread Islam in this country. And this is the issue. They use the Palestinian flag as something which covers the real intention. The Bidens understand it. Here, I'm not sure. So, our mission, maybe, is to talk about exactly this. Those who support the Palestinian cause, in the end of the day, they are supporting the turning of Canada into Islamic State, this cause. So we have to bear it in mind and maybe do something. I have no idea how to do it. From the media point of view, from the what you can say, what are the boundaries of free speech in this country, whether you are allowed to say such things or not, whether it's Islamophobia or all kinds of things. But people who live here should know that we are the canary in the mine. Whatever comes against us will ultimately come against the Canadians, because they are the big cake. We are the small one. So this is only a comment about what happens here. And what happens in Europe is actually, you know what you see today in North America in general, in the United States and here, is actually what you saw in Europe like 15 17, 18 years ago. Small steps, no more. If you want to know or to have an idea what might be here in 15 years from today, look at Europe today. This is because the United States and Canada are behind Europe in a time lag of like 15 years, more or less. So this is the trend, and this is the direction, and this is where things are leading to.
What would you put on a sign at the anti-protest? Sharia law? Are you kidding me? Educate yourself? What would you say?
I have absolutely no idea what kind of messages you can express without being taken to court for, incitement against, I don't know what. You guys are much more aware of the boundaries of what can be said, what cannot be said in this country. In Israel, the rules of the game are different. But definitely, people who care for Canada should warn Canada that anti-Israeli, anti-Zionist, implicitly anti-Jewish propaganda is, at the end of the day, will be against Canada. Because this is the next hill after they occupy this hill. The Jewish hill is low, the Canadian is bigger. And they are aiming high. No doubt. Because this is actually what happens in Europe. Jew hatred in France today is translated to churches burned every week. There is no even 1 week passing without at least one church being torched. In France, what happened in Notre Dame was not caused by an act of God. Although it is a church, it was caused by people. And the French intelligence know exactly who did it. But they are too much afraid to say it. Okay, when the jewels of the crown were stolen, it was too obvious. You know who stole them? Muslims from Tunisia. Because they don't care about France. They don't care about the kingdom. They don't care about the royal treasures. Because they want to destroy it, to take it over. Okay? So what else is the symbol of the French kingdom or French entity or French culture, if not the Louvre? France is the target, covered by Jewish issues. The Jewish issue is only a milestone on the way to the Big Apple. And the Big Apple is Europe. Today, Europeans understand it. Too late. The question is, if here it's too late or not. And it's up to the Canadians, Jews and others alike. Have to sit down to think what can be done in order to wake up the Canadians to see the danger on Canada. Never mind Israel. The danger is on Canada. Yes.
You don't need to look farther than New York.
There you are. And you know, if I'm right, and I listen to New Yorkers, they are afraid that New York will turn into something like San Francisco. I don't know if you visited, and when you visited San Francisco. I visited San Francisco 3 times in the last 15 years. Once was 15 years ago. Happy, colorful, vivid. You know, everything is open. Businesses are flourishing. Downtown is a happy area. 15 years ago. I visited last year San Francisco. The same streets, gray, gloomy, businesses are boarded. The streets are full of tents of homeless people. The stench is intolerable. The sidewalks are full of needles and bottles and all kinds of other issues. Such a sad city I've never seen. And this is what happened because of the woke which took San Francisco over. Somebody told me that Chicago is more or less the same. And I didn't visit Chicago recently, but New York, if they don't watch it, New York will turn into something more or less the same thing. And I think it's almost a rule. Wherever the woke occupies a city, this is how this city looks like. Businesses are running away. Companies take their business out. People are getting rid of their real estate. Real estate prices are dropping. Of course, also rent prices are dropping also. But who wants to live in such a place? So, if they don't watch it, New York will also turn into something intolerable. Yes, and this is what happens also in the Middle East. And this is actually what we are here to discuss, the Gaza peace deal. First of all, the name. Peace deal, which Trump calls it. Any peace is based on something which people don't talk about, but this is self-evident. Peace can be achieved between two sides who mutually recognize each other's right to exist. Without this recognition, mutual recognition, regardless of other things, of borders, of other issues, regardless of the mere existence of both sides is viewed by both sides as legitimate. This is the basis of everything. Because without mutual recognition of the mere existence of both sides, there cannot be anything but a war. Okay? Does Israel recognize the right of Hamas to exist? Especially after October 7, 2023? No. And for a good reason. Does Hamas recognize the right of Israel to exist?
No, never.
Forget it. Read their documents, look at what they do. Definitely, no one in Hamas ever expressed any willingness to recognize the legitimacy of the existence of the state of Israel, regardless of its size. Even if it was in the size of a stamp on the seashore of Tel Aviv. Even then. So, since the basis of any agreement, any peace agreement between Israel and Hamas doesn't exist, how can somebody with a mind call anything peace deal? Will there ever be a mutual recognition between Israel and Hamas? Okay, so, and unfortunately, President Trump calls it peace deal. I would call it, as it is, ceasefire deal. Because this is actually what it is. Releasing the hostages, okay, Israelis will be here, they will be here. The content is not so much important, but the outcome, the bottom line is that there's no peace, but ceasefire. For who knows how long. Not even mention how long. To call it a peace plan or peace deal, this is something totally detached from the main rule of peace, which is mutual recognition, which so far was not achieved. Okay? Somebody told me that Trump's heart is in a good place, yet his mind, not sure. His heart is with us, no doubt. But all kinds of decisions made by his group of aides, I'm not so sure. Especially those who are connected with Qatar, the main engine, the main financial engine behind all the jihadi organizations in the world. Qatar funnels money to radical Muslims, radical groups like Hamas, like the Islamic Jihad, like many others, who are the derivatives of the Muslim Brotherhood, for years already. Recently, it became much bigger because of Gaza, because of what happened in Gaza. They are buying people like Witkoff. As you know, he is in debt to the Qataris at least $650 million. The man got in trouble in some kind of real estate business in New York, and he almost went bankrupt with a hole of $650 million. Qatar came, covered this debt, and he owes Qatar $650 million. And Trump nominates him to be the chief negotiator between Qatar and others, especially Israel. If there is a conflict of interests, I don't know how to name this, if this is not. Okay? But this is how he nominates people, and it's hard for us to tell him, trust this one and don't trust that one. Jared Kushner, our brother, he also has business with the Saudis, with the Emiratis, apparently with the Qataris as well, and he also individual part of the negotiations. Doesn't he have any personal issues here? Interests? Of course he has. So to nominate these two people, apparently Trump nominated them because first of all he knows them personally, and from his point of view personal ties are the best ties. Secondly, they are Jews, and the Israelis will never reject anything with Jews are involved in as much as he thinks. So choosing Jews in order to do this dirty job, I'm not sure that this was the best choice. However, when it comes to the deal itself, what we heard during the last 2 years, and this is something which changed the whole equation in many parts of the Middle East, the war on Gaza. The war on Gaza became something way beyond Gaza. For example, don't forget, because of this war, Israel destroyed Hezbollah in Lebanon, which joined the war one day after it erupted. Israel, by attacking Hezbollah, Israel enabled Julani to come out of the groves around Idlib and to occupy Syria. And Julani became the favorite of Saudi Arabia, favorite of the Americans, although this Julani was a mass murderer in ISIS, in Al-Qaeda, in Jabhat al-Nusra, and he had $10 million on his head, not because he parked his car somewhere which is forbidden to park. He was murdering people by his own hands. And all of a sudden he get a good name, and now today he's a president, and now Turkey on one side, who enabled him to take Syria over, and Saudi Arabia, who wants to take him over from the Turks. Now they are competing, who will give him more. So the Saudis open the gates of Washington DC in front of the man. Okay, so this is also an outcome which came out from the war on Gaza. Israel succeeded to hit severely the Houthis in Yemen. Saudis failed, the Americans failed. Whoever tried to do this failed. Israel succeeded by good intelligence and good hits. Yes, the Bab el-Mandeb Straits are not opened yet, but definitely the Houthis today are way much weaker than they were before. And the crown, or the diamond of the crown, is Iran. Israel, in a 12-day war during June, succeeded to hit severely the missile industry on the missile storages of the Iranians and the nuclear program as well. Israel did not destroy totally, but definitely hit it in a severe way. The Americans also joined for one day that war. So the war on Gaza was not only on Gaza. It was actually about the whole Middle East, reshaping the Middle East, destroying or hitting severely the Shiite crescent, means what the Shia did in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen, and now this scheme which was built by Soleimani was replaced by another Sunni scheme which is centered in Turkey one side and in Saudi Arabia on the other side, and Qatar. So now we have a Sunni coalition or some kind of a structure in front of us, which we have to face, headed by Qatar. And Qatar is the most vile enemy of Israel. 12 years ago, 2013, I published an article, and I highly recommend that you look at this article after the lecture. Google Mordechai Kedar, Know Thine Enemy. Know with K. Know your enemy, but know thine enemy. I wrote it like 12 and a half years ago about Qatar. That Qatar is the most dangerous enemy of Israel because other enemies are operating with faces, we know the enemy. Hamas, PLO, all these are enemies. Qatar is hiding behind the money and behind the mosque. So Qatar is much more dangerous because they are hiding. They support every anti-Israel activity in the world already then. Today it's much more obvious. They sponsor CARE. I think the CARE has also representation in Canada. The CAIR, Committee on American Islamic Relations. They are also committee about Canadian Islamic relations, the alliance here, sponsored by Qatar. And they are acting against Jewish students in the campuses. They are acting against Jewish organizations. They are acting for Palestine. They support his demonstrations. So definitely Qatar is involved. Now, the Americans decided to put an end to the war. How? To bring half the world into this equation in order to help reconstruction Gaza, or reconstructing Gaza, and they brought in the Qataris, the Saudis, the Emiratis, the Bahrainis, the Turks, the Qataris as well, if I mentioned, and I think some European countries as well. All are in Kiryat Gat today, not far from Gaza, in Israel. They had a whole center to coordinate the actions of all these countries in Gaza. Some of them about humanitarian support, some of them about reconstruction, but not even one of these participants is willing to face Hamas. Because whoever will try to face Hamas will get a shot in the head. As simple as it is. No one is brave enough to come to Hamas and to tell them, give us the weapons. And who with the right mind will invest a penny in Gaza as long as Hamas is there threatening everybody with their weapons? So as long as the rifles are not confiscated from Hamas in Gaza, no advancement can be achieved. And apparently the Americans don't get it. Who will go to Gaza to fight them? Before reconstruction, before investments, before anything. Now this brings all kinds of ideas. The impasse which we see in Gaza. For example, Trump a year ago started to talk about evacuation of Gaza and to send the Gazans to somewhere else. Where to? He has no idea. He has no idea. Just look at what happened last week. Group of, I think, like 150 Gazans, men, women, children, flew to South Africa. South Africa, because South Africa is with Hamas wholeheartedly. They actually sued Israel in the International Court in Hague. So they flew to South Africa, only to find out that they're not allowed to leave the airplane. It took them, I think, 2 days.
10 hours. 12 hours.
12 hours?
Yeah. 10 hours.
There's 12 hours and then they let them in, give it saying that because that organization you said, CARE, they said for something, they didn't have their passport stamped, that they exited, so they smuggled out that and then when they got to South Africa, they held them for 12 hours on the plane. And then they let them go in, and not knowing where they're going, they said they would take care of them where they're going to stay and blah, blah, blah. Because they didn't have enough money and they didn't have
I wish the South Africans good luck with these people. And you know what? Apparently the South Africans don't learn from the experience of others. In 2015, when the Syrian crisis was in its peak, Germany, means Angela Merkel, allowed some 30,000 Syrians come to Germany. You know, poor people running away from Assad. You know, after what happened in Turkey and this boy on the seashore, which shook the whole world, the poor boy. And today, in Germany, the most dangerous, the most powerful crime gangs are Syrians. Those who were permitted 10 years ago to come to Germany as refugees. Okay? What can we do? They are against the government in Syria. They are against the government wherever they go, because this is the mentality of these people. This is how they think. That the government is their enemy, as it was in Syria. So why all of a sudden when they come to Germany they will change their mindset to think that the government is good? Although this government gave them shelter, gave them a house, gave them a health, free education, free housing, whatever they want. Yet, today in Germany, the most dangerous crime gangs are Syrian. Surprisingly. So, this is what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump started with the Gaza issue, with this announcement that Gaza should be cleaned, means people should be sent out. He never knew where to, and I think until today, we don't see the line of countries lining up to invite the Gazans. I keep saying that the country which should be forced to allow Gazans into is Qatar. Why? First of all, Qatar is the most responsible for what happened in Gaza. Without the Qatari money funneled into Gaza for years, and at least 20 years, the monster named Hamas would not be as big, as dangerous, and as vicious as it became without the Qatari money. This first. Second thing, Qatar has an airline company, the Qatari, recently I checked, with 269 airplanes. 269 airplanes serve Qatar. Average capacity is like 300 passengers. If you calculate, they can take all the Gazans, assuming that they are like 2 million, they can take them to Qatar from El Arish, which is near Gaza, within a week, easily. With pressure, within 5 days. The flight is 2.5 hours, shuttle of 269 airplanes will do the job within 1 week. And the problem is solved. Qatar has enough dormitories to host them, because as we all remember, in the year of 2022, 3 years ago, Qatar hosted the Mondial, the international soccer games. And they built a lot of housing places, living places. And they also have hotels, very nice. So they can host 2 million people easily, because all these dormitories which they built for the games are empty. So they can host them, they can bring them. They have enough money to feed them and to employ them. And anyway, they love them. So why should other countries host the Gazans while Qatar is the most responsible for what happened in Gaza? People say, no, Israel allowed every month $30 million come from Qatar to Gaza. Yes, this is right. But two things have to be said about these 30 million every month. First of all, 25 million from them came to Israel. Why? The Gazans bought food in Israel. Egypt didn't send even one cucumber to Gaza. All the food which came to Gaza, except for the fish which they fished in the sea, came from Israel. Vegetables, fruits, pasta products, bread, whatever, came from Israel. Thousands of Israeli families lived on what they sold to Gaza. And the Gazans always paid in cash. Where from? From Qatar. So this is why Israel never stopped the food to Gaza. Not because we care about the Gazans, we care about the Israelis. Because if a truck stands with bananas, they will rot within a day. So you have to send it in order not to push families in Israel to bankruptcy. Because if the truck will be stuck on the border, the bananas will rot. And the farmers, the Israeli farmers, will go bankrupt. So this is why Israel, in spite of the clashes with Hamas for many years, Israel never stopped the food. Because it was the parnasa, the livelihood of Israeli families. So this is, most of the Qatari money came to Israel as food. Yet, 5 million went to the tunnels. However, Qatar smuggled a lot of money, way much more than 30 million, through the tunnels. So if Israel did not allow this 30 million to come every month from Israel, Qatar would send them through the tunnels from Egypt. So the fact that Israel allowed this 30 million every month was insignificant, because otherwise they would bring the money from the tunnels, just like they brought in the missiles and the rockets and other things which they smuggled from Egypt. So Israel actually enabled it to be easier, but it would be anyway through the tunnels. So this is another comment about Qatar. Unfortunately, people didn't buy it, although I published it like a year ago, that Qatar should take the Gazans. And there is a way how to convince Qatar to do it. To disconnect Qatar from the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system is the clearance, the international clearance system. Means money trafficking from place to place. If Qatar will be detached from this system, Qatar will not be able to sell its gas and oil, and Qatar will go bankrupt. So this is the way to twist their hand or twist their arm behind their back. But unfortunately, the world didn't do it. By the way, Iran is suffering such a thing. What happens today in Gaza, because Trump apparently is looking for all kinds of solutions. Yesterday, somebody gave me some kind of a new thing, which I found hard to believe. But today, it's hard to believe many things. Now, there is the Witkoff crew are working on new solution for the whole Palestinian problem. It's something which hard to believe, but this is what they wrote. It has some articles. One is Gaza will be sold to Israel as it is, as real estate. Israel will evacuate all the settlements except for Ariel and Gush Etzion, and the settlers, the Jewish settlers in the West Bank, as they call them, will move to Gaza. Wait a minute. The people, the Arabs who live in Gaza, will go to Judea and Samaria to live, part of them, in the houses of those settlers, in the settlements, because now they live in Gaza. Means population swap between Gaza and West Bank, Jews and Arabs. And those who will not move to Judea and Samaria to live in the settlements, those Gazans, will move to Egypt, to an area which will be leased by the Americans, and this will be their solution. And there will be a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria. It will not include Gaza because Gaza will be Jewish after it will be bought by Israel. And this is the solution which today, according to this information which I got, the Wittkopf crew is working on. Yes,
what is the source of this information?
I don't know.
The cloud.
It's got to come from somewhere.
But today, every crazy idea might be accepted because apparently the Americans are so desperate to find any solution to Gaza because from a real estate point of view, it looks like a good deal. You get a big area, Gaza. Only thing is you have to clean it from all the debris, and you can use the destruction or the destroyed houses to build a big breaker, giant breaker into the sea. So Gaza could be a harbor for the corridor which starts in Mumbai, go through the Indian Ocean, into the Arabian Sea and the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, and chain of trains from the Emirates through Saudi Arabia, Jordan and Israel to Gaza, and to the Mediterranean Sea, all the way to Europe and America. Means a corridor which will go around the Suez Canal and the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, which are governed by or controlled by the Houthis. Means this can open a big corridor between Europe and East Asia, because India is also China, Vietnam, Japan, Korea. Now they have to go around Africa, and it makes the route long, dangerous, and the money which the Europeans pay today for import from the East is tremendous because of this long route, insurance, and all these expenses and oil and everything which they pay for the long route around Africa. This route needs a harbor. And what is better than Gaza? It gives you the 40 kilometers of seashore, and it will be developed by the Israelis who are known for their ability in real estate. And this is the plan which I got yesterday that Wittkopf crew are working on. Look, it sounds crazy, but many other ideas which came recently from this crew are no less crazy. So I put it on X, and already one of the Knesset members in Israel called me to ask me if my account on X was hijacked by somebody who put this nonsense. I said no, I put it according to, and I sent him some more details, and of course all the comments view it as a nonsense, but who knows? To call the 20-point ceasefire plan between Israel and Gaza a peace plan, it is no less crazy. Because as I told you, peace is built on mutual recognition, which still is missing. Okay, so we see things which are not well cooked being already put on the table. So this idea, which is also not well cooked, being put on the table, I wouldn't be surprised Because when, I wouldn't say craziness, but some crazy ideas being, put, in the public sphere, what is the limit to crazy ideas? So some people could come up with such crazy ideas and get on with this. Why not? If craziness takes over, there's no limits. So this is actually what we see today. I do doubt that any plan can be implemented in Gaza, because again, as long as Hamas stick to their weapons, nothing can happen. No one with mind will go to take the weapons, because everybody knows that they will kill whoever approaches them. So who would right? Look, the same thing is in Lebanon. By the way, Hezbollah was severely hit by Israel last year. But Israel didn't hit their tactical weapons. Means the rifles which they carry in their hands. Israel hit their missiles, the strategic weapons, the missiles, the drones, the factories of the drones. Okay, because these things threatened Israel. The Kalashnikov rifle, which they go around in Lebanon, Israel didn't go to Beirut to confiscate their weapons, their personal weapons. Israel didn't go to Baalbek. It didn't go to Hermel, to Lebanon. Okay, in the south, where we took over for a while, we looked for the storages and the tunnels, and whatever we found, we took. Okay, this was in the south. But the rest of Lebanon, we didn't go to take the weapons. So the situation in Lebanon today is that Hezbollah do miss missiles in order to attack Israel, but they have all the weapons which they need in order to take Lebanon over. So the Lebanese government had a decision like months ago to dismantle the arms of Hezbollah. Until this very day, not even one rifle was given. No. Once the Hezbollah produced a scenario, a truck came to one of the camps of Hezbollah, and Hezbollah people loaded it with rifles, as if they are giving up on the weapons. Later, like 2-3 days later, somebody leaked that all these rifles were dysfunctional, were ruined, couldn't shoot. So Hezbollah gave in front of the cameras to make an impression that they are giving up on their weapons. The real weapons which shoot are still in their homes or under the mattress or even in their heads. So everybody knows that if Hezbollah really want, they can take Beirut over in one day. All they have to do is to send 2,000 fighters with 2,000 rifles, which they still have, with ammunition, and they will kill whoever they want. The president, the prime minister, the parliament members, and they can take Lebanon over if they want. Okay, so to say that the mere fact that the government decided to confiscate the weapons of Hezbollah and to believe this is what will happen, this is naivete to think about this. Because nobody is brave enough to go to the Hezbollah people and to take the weapons for them, because you know what will happen to him. He will get a shot in the head. Whether he's a policeman or a soldier or whoever will come to them. So they maintain their pressure on the government and they do whatever they like. The same thing with Hamas in Gaza. Who is brave enough to go to them and to take them in order to expect that they will give him their weapons willingly? And this is craziness. Okay, so you can, Israel and others, Americans, can have many decisions about Gaza, but as long as Hamas is there with the weapons, what can be achieved on the ground? Who is brave enough to come to start working on Gaza, evacuating the debris, and start planning and digging and building? Who will do it when Hamas are still there with weapons? Okay, so this is why I'm not afraid of any plan. Because no plan can be implemented on the ground. Even the 20 points deal, peace of Trump. Why? Because as long as the situation on the ground is Hamas controls, at least partially, the Gaza Strip, nothing positive can happen. And this is the reality. I'm not inventing anything here new. And this is the situation today in Gaza. It's an impasse. Israel, after 2 years, did not succeed to extract the weapons of the people from their hands, because you have to go to each and every one of them and take his weapon, hoping that he won't kill you. And I'm not sure that Israel should sacrifice its soldiers on this altar of confiscating the weapon.
Why not?
See?
Why Israel is not doing it?
Because of the price.
People.
Because of the price. Imagine a house, let's say, you can destroy the house. Imagine a tunnel with 200 Gazans, fighters, with weapons. Would you go into the tunnel?
Why don't they close the tunnel?
Because the whole world stands with magnifier above Israel. Oh, human rights, you cannot do it. And in Israel as well, we have this Meshigas as well. Mm-hmm. You know, years ago, I think like 5 years ago, Israel discovered a tunnel which the Islamic Jihad dug towards Israel in order to invade Israel from under the ground, to pass the fence, and to come inside Israel in one of the kibbutzim. So what did Israel do? Israel put a mine into this tunnel, and when the jihad people went, to try this tunnel, they blew up. Like 7 of them were killed immediately by this mine, which is there. So one of the human rights organizations appealed to the Supreme Court in Israel, claiming that this is illegal.
Oh, definitely.
This is illegal. Why? Because those Gazans were still in Gaza. They did not invade Israel yet. So you are not allowed to put a mine in their route to Israel, because they have the full right to move wherever they like inside Gaza. Although this is a town which is going to Israel, yet they are still in the space of Gaza. Only if they pass the border and are in Israel, so only there you can attack them. As long as they don't cross the line, you cannot attack them. So the Supreme Court said, yes, you are not allowed to blow them in the tunnel. Okay, this is part of the problem in Israel, that Israel's hands are tied by the Supreme Court in such kind of crazy ideas. What? If they dig a tunnel to Israel, shouldn't we defend ourselves before they come to us? Okay, so yes, this kind of mishigas which we have to correct also in Israel.
Move them to Gaza.
See?
Move them to Gaza.
Or move them to the tunnels. Okay, so yes, we do have some problems which have to be solved in order to really take care of the dangers, both from within and from the outside, which come to Israel. If to some, Gaza is I think the word is quagmire, which really nobody has any good idea what to do with it. It's plonter, I say, a big tie which needs a sword to open it. You cannot untie it. So many interests are interwoven into this problem. Money problems like Qatar, power problems like the United States, its influence in the Middle East, the interests of Saudi Arabia, the Qatar, and the Egyptians, and the Israelis, and Hamas, and all the others. So many cooks are in this kitchen, and to hope that the soup will come out
Delicious.
not normal are apparently too high. And this is every day, I think we will read another solution, because the desperation of the sides involved is so big that they are ready to invent all kinds of solutions, just like what I read to you, which I got yesterday. What can be expected? Every day will be more crazy than the previous day about Gaza. And the real solution, I don't have, except for one. I came with some kind of solution for the Judean Samaria to rely on clans, local clans. Because this is the only thing which works well in the Arab world. The clan system, because the clan system is actually the sociology of the Arab world. Islam is there, yet Islam is not everything. The clan system is much more powerful in many cases than Islam. In Gaza, Islam took over, but there are clans in Gaza which we can work with. Well known, the Abu Shabab clan in Khan Yunis, and they are actually acting, I wouldn't say according to Israeli dictates, but definitely good coordination with Israel, and they are against Hamas wholeheartedly. A clan which can fight. The only thing which they need is weapons and ammunition. And apparently Israel supplies these weapons and ammunition to Abu Shabab, because otherwise you cannot survive in front of Hamas. Recently I heard about some more clans which Israel started to work with. And this is actually something which I'm shouting for 2 years, since the beginning of the war. Start working with the clans, because this is the only thing which can face Hamas. How do I know? Whenever Hamas have the opportunity, they attack the clans. Yeah. Hamas. Because Hamas feel that this is the only threat on Hamas, the local clans. Of course, Israel is also, but locally, only the clans are potential enemy to Hamas. Why? Because their agenda is different. Their agenda is stability, their agenda is prosperity, their agenda is to survive as a governing force on the ground wherever they live, and this is why they are potentially the most effective enemy of Hamas. This is why Israel should cooperate with the clans. In Judean Samaria as well. And as you might know, I came out with a plan for the Palestinians, the Palestinian Emirates plan. Please Google it on Wikipedia, and you can read about this in English, in Arabic, and in Hebrew as well. The Palestinian Emirates plan on Wikipedia. Please read it. And this is the only thing which can work on the ground, because this is based on the clans which are on the ground. The alternative is a Palestinian state, God forbid, which will inevitably turn into a Hamas state, either by elections, as already happened in 2006, when Hamas won the elections to the Legislative Council of the Palestinian Authority, and until this very day, Hamas has the majority of the seats of the Palestinian parliament since January 2006, almost 20 years. Okay? Or by coup d'etat, as they took Gaza over in June 2007. If there is a Palestinian state, it will inevitably turn into a Hamastan, either by elections, as already happened, or by coup d'etat, as already happened. So, whoever advocates a Palestinian state, including the Canadians, actually advocate another Hamastan. Should Israel accept it? Should anyone in the world accept such a thing? The Canadians will send their army to get rid of Hamas if they take the Palestinian state over? By the way, this is why Qatar supports it. Support the Palestinian state. Because it will turn into a Hamastan. Supported by Qatar. And unfortunately, Israel friends don't get it. That this is the scheme. By the way, the Iranians also, for a Palestinian state, although it will be by PLO, which they don't like, but they know that once there is a Palestinian state, it will in no time turn into Hamastan, either by elections or by coup d'etat.
No, because you said you believe in the clans, but
Yeah.
if another clan will take over, it will still be an Islamic.
Look,
So it will not be
the clan system, wherever it exists, it is much more powerful than Islam, than the jihad. They actually fight the jihadists before you. Look at the Emirates, the United Arab Emirates. Each and every one of them is one clan. Abu Dhabi is owned by a clan named Al Nahyan. Al is family. Abu Dhabi is Al Nahyan. Dubai is owned by Al Maktoum. Kuwait is owned by Al Sabah. And Qatar is owned by Al Thani. Saudi Arabia is owned by Al Saud. Okay? This is how it works. And you don't hear about terrorism in the Emirates. You hear about supporting terrorism by Qatar, but not locally. They export, means they support the Muslim Brotherhood in other places in the world. Okay, they have to be educated, though this clan, this Al-Thani, but they are the exception, because all the other clans have nothing to do with terrorism, because stability, governability, prosperity are the names of tribalism, especially when it is today in the Middle East. That's why I'm more than sure that, and look, I'm in connection with the clans of Hebron. And by the way, when I was speaking like 15 minutes ago, the chief of Hebron called me because I'm in connection with him on the way to declare emirate in Hebron. So if one morning you wake up and you hear in the news that Hebron declared independence, departing the Palestinian Authority and joining the Abraham Accords, make face as if you are surprised. Yeah.
I think this plan has a lot of problems. First of which is that Hamas is not going to lay down its arms that easily. How do you make an emirate in Gaza when Hamas they just executed one of the clans, all of them in the street. You saw the videos.
I saw it and I know it, and this is exactly what I mean by the fact that Hamas enemies are first of all the clans. If Israel knows how to deal with the clans, they can take over. Gaza is the problem, I know. The problem, much easier today in Judea and Samaria to establish emirates in the cities in order to prevent takeover by Hamas. Gaza is the problem, I know. But Judea and Samaria is much easier because the society there is still stable. Unlike in Gaza, because like in Gaza, hundreds of thousands of people flee from the places, dispersed, and the clans actually are broken to pieces because people are dispersed. They are not living anymore in their compounds. They don't have the organization. They don't have the weapons. So today, to talk about clans in Gaza, it's much of a problem. But in Judea and Samaria, definitely you can still speak on clans. Yes.
So you mentioned there are some examples, like Poland, for example, that seems to have understood the mistakes of the other European countries and
Migration.
migration and so on.
Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovak Republic. Yes.
Right. So I mean, does that help? Reverse or at least slow it down, or at least as an example for Canada and Europe. And other countries?
The only countries today in the European Union which Israel can rely on are the Eastern European countries. Mm-hmm. They are with us because they understand what we understand. And they did not allow this invasion come to their countries. And to a degree that the Hungarian Prime Minister Orban when he did not succumb to the pressures from France and Britain, or not Britain, France and Britain, to accept refugees, he said, if you don't agree, I will leave the European Union. And they are afraid of it, because if he starts, other countries might also leave the European Union, and the whole idea of United Europe will go to hell. So they stopped pressuring him to accept refugees. They are angry at him, but they accept it because they don't have any other choice. Because he says, I am representing my people, and my people do not want migrants, especially not Muslims. So what do you want me to betray my voters? This is a democracy, that he said. I represent my people. So what do you want? To act against my people? This is what Orban said to the Europeans. I salute him. He really cares about Hungary. Yes.
What about the idea to tell the UN to send the Gaza?
I didn't know. Can you repeat?
Show you the UN. Tell the UN like Qatar has a lot of space for the people from Gaza. Why don't you send them there? Why don't the UN support that deal? To send
The UN is
I know they are
totally politicized in 99% of the cases against Israel. The United Nations organizations like UNHCR are sponsored by Qatar. So what do you expect?
But if you show them, no, I don't know, just an idea, show the land, and they have a land for them. How do you...
UNRWA, for example, United Nations Relief and Work Agency, which is designed only for the Palestinians. This is totally run by Hamas. This organization is run by Hamas. So what do you expect? That the United Nations will do something positive with Israel?
Was any way to, I don't know.
Look at the Human Rights Council, which belongs to the United Nations in Geneva. 90% of the decisions are against Israel. They don't care about Iran, they don't care about Turkey, they don't care about China, they don't care about Myanmar. Nobody in the world they care about, only Israel. Yes?
Just another follow-up. I guess I know there are a couple of existential threats against Israel right now in the international system. The genocide case at the ICC is disastrous for us, for our PR. We have not made a good case against it. We're awaiting the decision. I'm assuming the US will veto it. But with your plan, how do you plan to avoid apartheid accusations? Because creating different emirates is very similar to the Bantustan system in South Africa. They have different parts of South Africa for the black population to live, and the rest was governed by the white population. So how do you explain this to the international system?
It's all matter of branding. If you brand it as Bantustan, it's negative. If you brand it as Emirates, it's positive, because Emirates is the only thing which works well in the Middle East.
But B'Tselem, you have all these huge human rights organizations already screaming apartheid. Not only apartheid, but genocide. How can we avoid? We can't avoid the PR problem over here. And I see Israel increasingly getting alienated on the world stage.
Look, I don't ignore, and I can't ignore the situation of Israel PR, which is bad. Because when somebody says that there is famine in Gaza, what can you say? That no, they have food. They show pictures of kids who are suffering from all kinds of genetic diseases because of marriage within the clan, and they show as if they are hungry kids. Until you explain what happened with this poor kid, the whole world is convinced that they are under hunger. Okay? Yes, there is a problem when they take pictures from the war in Syria and they claim this from Gaza. Until you find out, it takes an hour or two. Meanwhile, millions of people in the world are convinced that you are killing these people, killing the kids deliberately. Yeah, it is a problem. I don't deny that Israel is a PR problem, but those who are biased against Israel will look at everything as some kind against Israel. And unfortunately, people are biased to begin with before the information.
Yeah, they're only too happy to believe it.
Of course.
So you can't do anything about the PR? It's a lost case?
It's not a lost case, but when you have a propaganda machine, which Qatar hired like 20 PR companies only in Washington, D.C., in order to push forward the ideas against Israel. This need big money. Every PR company which you hire, which will fully be dedicated to your message, leave all the others, and spread your message. This costs a lot of money. And when money is no object, when it comes to Qatar, it's not easy to face it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What do you think about Moshe Fagin saying the only solution will be kibush, v'kishvut? This.
I wish him good luck. Can he send one man out of Judea and Samaria to wherever in the world? Start with one. The whole world is with magnifier above Israel in order to see these things particularly. Okay, so...
No, but he claims that we had 5 opportunities throughout the last 2 years to make a final order.
Not in Judea and Samaria.
No, he speaks about the first day of the war, that even if Israel would take the most harsh stand or the total understanding in the world at that time, same as in the Second World War, that the Allies have bombarded Dresden, and till today nobody views their act as a criminal. Same thing in Israel would, even further than this, we wouldn't have today Israel having an accusation of committing a genocide in Gaza. What all Israel needed to do is just not to provide them with the trucks of food, just simply to activate a concept of drought, no water, no supply of any food, just on the condition for them to return back to the hostages. That would be the most effective thing, the most quickest things, and would save all the criticism of the world right now. Currently, what we are experiencing in the same story of the chef who was forced to eat rotten fish to pay them to get lashes in the plaza of the city. So Israel keeps hesitating, lack of confidence, and yet at the same time they are being accused by the international, while they're trying to appease. They say, Israel is always the most moral army in the world. And one of the explanations is because nobody competes to be the most moral army, because the army, their purpose is to win. The only army that is being led of a decision to display morality happens to be the army of Israel.
You're definitely right.
So obviously the point, and this is the general point, that God is leading Israel to do the godly order, because any type of another alternative is not bringing them any closer, but intensifying all the criticism without any effectiveness. No, so therefore, by the end of the day, we see clearly if we were doubting whether to act Jewish may be, not cool. Today we have no choice, because just a matter of survival. Like the world is forcing us to act in the Jewish way.
Definitely. By the way, you mentioned Moshe Fagin.
Correct.
He was in my home on last Tuesday, because I gathered some friends in order to discuss the future of the political arena in Israel. So he came, along with others, to my home. Look, I think that the Chet HaKadmon the original sin was that Israel, since the day one of the war, did not draw the end game. Means what is the solution to Gaza? Because at least for years, Israel said, we are willing to destroy Hamas. But what will be the alternative? Who will govern Gaza? Who will take it over? Whom are you going to hand Gaza over to? Who will be the supply? Israel did not give any idea. Apparently Israel didn't have any idea. What will be in the morning after we hopefully get rid of Hamas, if we get rid of Hamas. And the fact that Israel did not give a solution, draw a solution for the day after Hamas, actually brought other countries and other powers, like United States, like Qatar, like Egypt, like everyone, to push in all kinds of solutions which they believe should be the solution, with Hamas or without Hamas. And this is, I think, is the original sin in this war. Because every war has to be finished by some kind of a solution. Whether it will be temporary solution or permanent solution is another story. But definitely the world wants to see some kind of an end game which will stop the atrocities and will bring some hope, at least for a while. Unfortunately, Israel failed exactly in this point, at least for a year. Because for a year, neither Israel nor the others came out with any solution for the day after the war. And this, you are right.
Was they have a laser system that they're working on to replace the Iron Dome, so we don't have to buy so many drones and cost so much and be
Look, being liberated from the American hegemony is a good idea. Israel must find other friends in order to signal to the Americans that we are not in their pocket, at least like others, like the Saudis, who definitely know how to...
Israel does everything by themselves. Nobody helps them ever.
No.
Nobody helps. They help them with money.
No. Just to tell you, look, Israel produced a tank, the Merkava, right? The Merkava is produced in Israel, but the engine is not produced in Israel. The transmission is not produced in Israel. So, if there is a boycott by the countries which produce the engine and the transmission, you don't have a tank. Israel designed the Lavi. Remember? In the 80s. The Lavi has an engine which is produced in the States. So, without this engine, there is no Lavi. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, God is there. I think the cab should be outside already. I thank you so much. Thank you.